In the middle of World War II, a U.S. Navy warship was said to vanish without a trace. Witnesses claimed it reappeared hundreds of miles away and then returned to Philadelphia as if nothing had happened. But the real shock wasn't the ship. It was what allegedly happened to the crew on board. Were they victims of a top-secret military experiment gone wrong? Or is this all just one of history's greatest hoaxes? Today, we're diving deep into the legend of the Philadelphia experiment, a story that blends science, conspiracy, and mystery into one chilling tale. It was the dead of night in 1943, and the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard lay cloaked in a heavy fog. The salty air carried the usual scent of oil and steel, but tonight there was something else. An electric hum that made the hairs on the sailors' arms stand on end. The USS Eldridge, a destroyer escort, was about to take part in an experiment that no human mind could fully comprehend. Captain McAllister stood rigid on the deck, watching as scientists hurried between strange machines, wires snaking across the ship's hull like veins. The glowing coils pulsed rhythmically, casting an otherworldly light across the deck. "We're making history tonight," a scientist whispered, "but no one can guarantee what will happen." The sailors exchanged uneasy glances. Some tried to laugh, but it came out as a nervous chuckle. Then, without warning, the machines roared to life. The ship shivered. A strange bluish light rippled across the metal hull, and the world around them seemed to bend. Sailors clutched railings as the air grew thick and heavy, humming with energy that made their ears ring. And then it began, the impossible. The USS Eldridge started to fade. First, the edges of the deck blurred, then the guns and railings. It was as if the ship were dissolving into the very fog that surrounded it. Alarm bells rang, but the scientists could do nothing. The machines seemed to have a life of their own. Crew members screamed as their vision warped. Some swore they saw parts of themselves disappear, only to reappear briefly in Norfolk, and then return to Philadelphia. Once the experiment ended, some sailors returned, but they were not the same. There are accounts of crew members suffering severe physical and mental effects, such as being embedded in the ship's hull, experiencing burns, or exhibiting signs of psychosis. Petty Officer Thompson's uniform had fused to his skin. Removing it was excruciating, leaving him scarred forever. Seaman Lopez claimed he had walked through endless hallways of light and shadow, seeing moments from the future and the past all at once. Another crewman, pale and trembling, insisted he had seen the ship floating in an endless void, surrounded by figures that were not human, their eyes glowing like stars. Captain McAllister recorded every detail, but the Navy immediately classified the files. Witnesses were sworn to secrecy. The USS Eldridge seemed to vanish not only from the dock, but from all official records. Yet the whispers never died. Some claim the ship reappeared in distant waters, just for moments, leaving behind only the echo of a ghostly hum. Others said that men who disappeared had re-emerged decades later, unchanged, with stories too strange for anyone to believe. And then there were the strange side events, small, inexplicable things that seemed to follow the experiment. Watches stopped, compasses spun wildly, and radios emitted bursts of static voices, speaking in languages no one could recognize. Some sailors swore the ship briefly appeared miles away, docked in other ports where it had no reason to be. Others spoke of nightmares, vivid and terrifying, of being trapped inside the hull as it tore through unseen dimensions. Even today, the fog over the old Philadelphia Naval Shipyard carries a chill, thick and unnatural. Locals tell stories of ghostly lights flickering over the water, of faint hums that sound like machinery from another world. Scientists argue about electromagnetism and degaussing, but no known physics can explain the reports of sailors disappearing into thin air or seeing other times. Actually, is this possible? Yes, that's because this experiment is connected to the concept of unified field theory, which attempts to unify electromagnetism and gravity, suggesting it could be used to manipulate space and time. The Philadelphia experiment remains one of the most mysterious legends of the 20th century, proving that some experiments are far too dangerous for humanity to attempt. So, was it a secret test of advanced technology, a misunderstood naval experiment, or nothing more than a wild hoax? The truth may never be known, but the story continues to capture imaginations to this day. What do you think really happened to the USS Eldridge? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this dive into history's strangest mysteries, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next one.